I'm working as a nanny for a family, and one of my conditions is that there are to be no secret nanny cams, but I just found a hidden camera pointed at where I breastfed my baby. Posted by you/puzzleheaded cut 4137. I'm honestly kind of freaking out right now. For context, I'm a teen mom to my 7-month-old daughter. I recently started nannying again because I needed the income, and I took a job that wasn't ideal, 2 kids in my neighborhood for $16 per hour. I used to study child health and development in college before I dropped out to raise my daughter, and I've got about a year and a half of nannying experience. I found this family on care.com, and looking back, there were so many red flags. She had no profile picture. She refused a phone interview, saying she only does in person because she can tell character better that way. She used military time for everything, so I assumed she was ex-military. She's not. She insisted on meeting at a school, not a coffee shop or anywhere public, I suggested. She was 15 minutes late and showed up in short shorts, no bra, slippers, and high socks. Not exactly the strict, polished person I expected based on her tone over text. She had 3 kids, 6F, 4F, and almost 2M. The interview actually went okay, and because she lived nearby, I accepted the job on the spot. She mentioned paying me as a $1,099 contractor, which is illegal for household employees in my state, so I told her she'd either need to do under-the-table cash or a proper W-2. She chose cash but refused to sign a contract because she didn't want paper trails. Another red flag I should have listened to. During the interview, I specifically said no secret nanny cams. She told me she only had 2 cameras, both in her kids' rooms, which I was completely fine with. But then weird comments started happening. One day, I served the kids some fruit that was already cut up in the fridge. Later, she mentioned, "You forgot to wash it." Another time, she brought up a snack I had packed for my daughter, one I never left at her house. She mentioned me wiping down her counters with a reusable towel, something she couldn't have known unless she was watching me. She also somehow knew I use voice to text because of my dyslexia, something I never told her. At that point, I assumed there was a hidden camera or mic somewhere, which was super off-putting, considering she knew I breastfed my daughter and had specifically asked if there were any cameras. The vibe in general was off. She made really degrading comments, like saying she doesn't understand why anyone would go to college for child development, and strictly referring to me as a babysitter. She was dismissive, controlling, and constantly added new chores on top of childcare to the point that I could barely focus on the kids. Her daughter would also often say some weird and concerning things, for example, "My mom's gonna be mad, but it's okay because she won't be mad at me, the floors are really dirty. You need to sweep them," and one time she went on a minute-long tangent about silly, forgetful people who always forget everything after I left my lunchbox at their house overnight. Along with this and some other stuff she said, I just assumed she was repeating stuff her mother had said. But today was the breaking point. My daughter wasn't feeling well, so she wanted to be held most of the day. The 2-year-old knocked over a set of picture frames on himself. The house was not at all child-friendly. The 4-year-old had multiple meltdowns, and when I tried to calm her, she started kicking and hitting me. I let the mom know I'd need to leave early, and she agreed as long as both kids were down for a nap first. While I was feeding my daughter before leaving, I noticed the Alexa was flashing green every time I spoke. I Googled it and learned that means there's a drop-in, basically, someone is listening in. That's when I started looking around the room. And sure enough, I found a hidden camera tucked inside an open purse, pointed directly at the chair where I breastfeed my daughter. I froze. My stomach dropped. I grabbed my baby, packed up our stuff, and left without unloading the dishwasher. A few hours later, she sent me a long text rant about clarifying expectations. Basically, she wanted me to be a maid, not a nanny, all while watching 3 kids. After talking to my husband, I've decided I'm quitting immediately. I'm still shaken that someone recorded me feeding my baby without consent. I'll update once I officially quit and send her my message, but seriously, trust your gut. Top/relevant comments. Additional info from up. I am 19. I graduated high school early, started college when I was 17, and got married when I was 18. The children were not unattended. The mother works from home but is upstairs, and she does have 2 cameras in each of the children's rooms. I did not take any pictures because my mangle was to get out of there. I don't know how to leave an update, but I will write one tomorrow. Commenter. Holy crap op, that's absolutely disgusting and definitely illegal in most places. Recording someone breastfeeding without consent is a serious crime, like sexual exploitation level serious. Document everything you can remember and definitely file that police report ASAP. The fact that she was so sketchy about paper trails makes way more sense now. She knew exactly what she was doing. Update 1 day later. I forgot to mention in my last post that I unplugged both the camera and the Alexa before I left that day. Between that and my mom, who's a therapist and has talked to her before, strongly believing she is a narcissist, I decided I will not be returning. My mom actually helped me write a text to keep things calm and avoid any retaliation. The nanny mom knows where I live, so we wanted to be careful with how I worded it. Here's what I sent her: "Thank you for sharing your concerns. Today was definitely a rough one with sick kids, lack of sleep, and a lot of challenging behaviors. After reflecting, I feel that with the expectations and the different ages, this position isn't the best fit for me. For safety reasons, I believe it would be better for you to find someone else. 2M knocking down the picture frames today because I was preoccupied with 4F, and my daughter has really shown me that it would be best for me to step away immediately for everybody's safety." She replied with, "Okay, wow, that was pretty unexpected. I disagree with the imminent safety concern, especially being that he is 20 months and didn't do it with malicious intent, but I respect your decision. I will calculate your time and pay you accordingly." My mom said this is a typical response of a narcissist, taking her child faults as her own. I just replied thank you, and she did end up paying me, but only about 1/3 of what I was owed. Here's the message she sent with the payment: "Paid. 30 minutes removed for unfulfilled obligations that I had to tend during my lunch today. And 6 hours removed for previous overpayment of miscalculated hours. Thank you for your time with us." The unfulfilled obligations she's talking about? Dishes I had already cleaned but didn't put away, from the night before, when I wasn't even working, and not sweeping the floors. Also, looking back, I feel like there were a lot of mind games she played with me through stuff she heard and saw, including her miscalculating the hours. She randomly started counting my 5-hour days at 6 hours and would constantly mention it and write it on my clocking sheet. I don't know if she was testing me, just feels odd. She would also constantly repeat that she was a good person and had good morals, even sometimes going as far as repeating she's a good person 3 times in the same conversation. I haven't filed a police report, but I also don't have any photos. I've reported her to care.com. She already has a post up. I'm planning to check in occasionally to see if it's taken down and if she hired somebody else. They sort of live in my neighborhood, so maybe I'll be able to catch the nanny on a walk and give her a heads up. They also had a nanny before me that left abruptly as well. A few people pointed out in my last post that I was being severely underpaid. You're right. I've already started looking for other nanny positions and have been offered $22 to $25 per hour, which just confirms how much I was being taken advantage of. Top/relevant comments. Commenter: "Why haven't you filed a police report?" Commenter 2: "People always insist on this, and to be honest, there isn't much the police could really do in this situation, other than keep a record of it if someone else comes in to complain. I believe Op, but as she has no physical proof, it's her word against the employers. The police are also more likely to believe the person who is white if one of them is a person of color, the wealthier person, etc., and she's a teen mom who probably doesn't have much money, so the odds are against her there. Also, the police are pretty frequently useless and terrible, so it's understandable why people might not want to go to them for help." Additional info from Op: "I had left a toy at their house, and they left it by my mailbox. Just a little bit odd." Op adds an edit to her post: "It has been about 4 days since I mentioned I had found her on care.com. I saw a post up, and now she's offering $15 to $18 an hour. The $18 an hour is a lie. I doubted she'd find anyone in that price range, but sure enough, her post is taken down. I looked at her account, still up, so I assume she found a new nanny. I took the long way to work and drove by her house, and sure enough, a mom of 1 or 2 kids was standing outside holding their baby. Can't help but think she's trying to do this to another mother. I'm afraid to say anything to this mom because what if it's her family? Once again, my mom has practically diagnosed her as a narcissist, and I'm terrified of what she would do, given she knows where I live."